Hi, my name is Rachel. I would say my journey begins all the way back when I was 2 years old. My mother was diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, which is a neuromuscular disease which affects basically the muscle's ability to respond and be strong. Anything from speech to swallowing to walking, anything that had to do with her muscles. So I became the second mom of the home because when mom would go across the street to get the mail, it would be so much wear and tear on her body that she would then be in bed for 3 days. Let's say she would be anywhere from on the couch or in a reclined chair to eat. There were not many family dinners a lot when I was a kid. As a young girl, not understanding, many times and many trips to the hospital, there were tantrums. I feared going to the hospital. It was not a place that I wanted to be. It was not a place that I even recognized my mom. I didn't want to go into the room even. So for them, it was easier if I stayed with grandparents or childcare. And then my mom went through some tough physical battles. And at that point, she was very close to dying. She remembers praying, God, I will minister to my family if you get me through. And that's exactly what my mom has done for the last 26 years. But I have to tell you that when you're young, you don't understand. All I understood was that my mom was sick and she needed my help. So that's the role I took on. I was mama's little helper, and even a second mom to my brother. You know, there are these times when God just blesses you with funny little moments, and as a family, you just have to look back and laugh. But there was one afternoon when my mother had been on a particularly high dose of prednisone. My dad and I sat on the couch and watched her bake 13 apple pies in one afternoon because the prednisone was just rearing through her body. And you look back and think, as ugly as the prednisone was, it was probably what helped her most in that moment. As a believer, you want God to come, and you want God to heal, and you want God to take it. And you forget sometimes that God heals and God takes things and uses them towards other things beyond just a full healing. And there did come a night when we were sitting in the living room eating. My brother and I had gotten special permission to eat on TV trays that night. And Mom started to choke. We knew to stay calm. We knew to watch and listen. And if there was no air coming out, then that was our cue. If she wasn't making any noise, we knew we needed to take it a step further. I remember peering around into the kitchen as my mom was leaning over the sink trying to breathe. And my heart just pounded. And all I could do for her was just lay my little hand on her back and say, Jesus, make her breathe. And in that moment, I think I was about 10, she breathed. And inside me, I knew that God cared. So small, but God cared. We must have stood beside my mom twice a month to pray for healing. It didn't seem to come. And so you begin to doubt if it's even possible, or if God even cares in that way. But I learned at a young age that healing looks different to God. And he began to place that healing touch in my eyes to remind me that he was there. And that was enough to get me through and to remember that he cared for me and he cared for my mom. Come to the age of chickenpox, my brother and I both got the chickenpox. And so the doctor was going to have to remove my mother from the home because if she got chickenpox, it would put her in the hospital. Any large illness her immune system couldn't handle. But it turns out that she got tested and she's immune from the chickenpox. Never have I ever heard of anyone who's immune. But that was just another thing that God used to show he cared. So small, but God cared. And then as time went on, I got very sick my junior year of high school. I had mono. And again, because of my age and my brother's age, I was going to have to stay with grandparents because of my mom's illness. She was still in a very weak state. Most people couldn't even tell that she had this disease, except for that her voice was soft or she wouldn't have a ton of energy. She still tried to stay involved and take us kids on field trips. But if she did that, then she would do nothing the next day. It was kind of a give all one day and then take 2 days to recover. The pastor came to our house before I was supposed to leave and prayed for me. And the next day, I woke up completely healed. I had had mono for 2 days, 2.5. It was just another little thing God used to show that He cared. You know, in the back of your mind, you always wonder if it's possible. I don't think I ever stopped believing it could happen. I just got used to what my mom had. And we never stopped praying, but the frequency of our prayers, Mom didn't go up to the altar every time to pray for healing. You just got used to it, but we always hoped. I think it says that He who started good work in you will be faithful to complete it. I think I always had a picture of what that completion would look like, but yet God had a different idea of what that completion would look like. Still healing, but it hasn't come around in full. To this day, my mom is not 100% healed, but she has been healed in other ways and been able to do certain things that she shouldn't have been able to do. She shouldn't have been able to come out of surgery. She shouldn't have been able to take kickboxing classes or ride a bike around a lake. She shouldn't have been able to play with her granddaughter on the floor. But she did, and those little things are healing. Now that I'm 28 years old and married and have a little girl, I'm just amazed at the faithfulness. That God protected my parents' marriage, that my brother and I are both strong in our relationship with the Lord, that my mom got to watch us grow up. Those little things are healing. It hasn't come around in full. We believe she'll have her eternal healing when she meets Jesus face to face. I don't think she's going to ask, "Why didn't you?" I think she'll just say thank you. As difficult as it can be, and there are many days when I wish I could just drive down and help her out when she's having a rough day or mentally worn down, I just think, God, you still care. You've never left us nor forsaken us. You didn't give us this to teach us a lesson. You have used us to teach us lessons, and for my mom spiritually to grow. But that's the healing, and that's the faithfulness. We would 100% love our mom to be cured, but it's God's faith and compassion and provision and eternal love for us that outstretches her healing. That's the kind of family we are today. We keep walking and we keep praying, and we're thankful that we got our mom 26 years longer than we should have. And if we get to have her one more day, then that's the blessing. And that's my story.